Hello, travel biz owner. Welcome to my corner of the travel industry, the Strategic Travel Entrepreneur Podcast. If you're ready to have fun, be inspired, get clarity, and take action in your travel business, then you're in the right place. Let's jump in. Hello, everyone. Happy New Year. I am so excited to be starting off another year with you here at the Strategic Travel Entrepreneur Podcast. So thank you, hugely thank you for being here and sharing out the podcast with all of your colleagues. I love to start this year with a bang. I love starting the podcast off in the right way, in the best of ways. And so I feel like we've been kind of on a high, a lot of personal episodes with me recently. This one, I really want to touch more on niching down just a little bit, because I recently did a poll on Instagram and I'm like, I don't really like the answers that I got from here, but some of the answers were good in a different way, and I feel like you're going to be able to get lots of ideas on how to find those right types of clients that you're looking for. So let's dive in just a little bit. First things first, I want to remind you, it is a wonderful time to sign up for Summer Camp at Sea and join us to actually get stuff done in community, because we're going to make sure that you get things done. You're not just going to say, I'm going to do it and then put it off. We're going to make sure that you get things done. Not only that, if you are looking to up the ante when it comes to your marketing and your social media assets, you need to come so we can get really great footage of you that you can use on all of your social media, different content that you'll be making for 2026. So to get fresh assets and to get work done and to have a lot of fun with your fellow travel friends, make sure to head on over to the link in the show description so that you can find out the full details. Message me if you have any questions, but I cannot wait to see you with all of us in Alaska in about 6-ish months. Wow, I can't believe I'm saying that already. 6-ish months. Whoop, whoop. So getting back down to niching, some of the answers that I received when I asked that question was empty nesters, which is really great. This is very specific. When I mean specific, I mean like, can I picture that exact person? Where can I picture that exact person would be hanging out? Like, what are some of the things that they might be doing during vacation, obviously, but like, what are the types of things that they're doing at home and like being really active at home about? And so empty nesters is one of those, like, I could tell you, and you could probably tell me where they're hanging out at, what they value and things like that. Maybe not totally what they value, but a lot of what they value. The next type of niche that I had received was first-time cruiser on Royal Caribbean Cruise Line. That is not as specific for me, where it is specific in terms of, you told me it's a first-time cruiser and they're going on Royal Caribbean. So I can kind of surmise a little bit of what type of person that they are, what their values are. I can't surmise, like, an empty nester I know is probably like, oh, I want to be away from the kids because the kids are gone now. Or they might be feeling the opposite. They might be wanting to be around kids because their kids have left the nest. So that's going, depending on the type of empty nester that they are, I feel like more people are kind of gonna freedom after all these years. They're gonna want to experience that. I can't tell that by first time cruiser on Royal Caribbean Cruise Line. I can tell that they're probably family oriented because they're choosing something like Royal Caribbean. So being able to like find them at different like family events or like school events is probably a great thing. But I can't tell, like, is this person a sweet person? Would this person be on the balcony? Does this person like a little bit of adventure? Like I could see this like as a multi-generational family going on Royal Caribbean Cruiser. So like I just encourage you, if you have a niche, to like really hone in, like, is it very specific Or does it need to be a little bit more specific? Because I mean, full transparency, when I started my agency, I started with girlfriend getaways. Never booked a single girlfriend getaway. But I did start doing a lot of groups and a lot of cruise groups. So I kind of pivoted into that. But even that in itself is broad because there's so many different types of groups. There's so many different types of cruises, like you can't really pin that down. And so the final branding and like niching that I've done with the agency side is cruise retreats for team leaders or business owners. Hyper specific, but because of that, that also puts on those blinders. So I know exactly where I need to go to find those types of clients. Like I'm not going to go to a family expo to find those types of clients. I'm most likely going to like conferences, networking events, professional organizations. If I wanted to be even more like niche specific, like if I wanted to do team retreats for tech companies, I can like go in, like that might be like one of my goals for Q1 is to like go really deep on trying to make connections with leaders at tech companies that host retreats for their employees and want to do something a little bit different. Do you see like how specific, like I'm able to like narrow down, like this is not where I would meet these people. This is the places that I would meet these people. So if you're like, I don't know where I'm supposed to meet clients, you haven't done the work of getting like nailing down a little bit. And that might also be a little bit okay because I know many of you are also new in the industry or trying to refresh your business. So you might not know exactly what your niche is. So you're going to have to try a couple different things. And I have a lot of different examples. Some examples you heard before, some examples are brand new. The other kind of examples that I had heard from people were not very specific on the people, but more what they value and like what's important to this type of clientele. So they're excited about travel. They see the value of working with a professional. They want to work with a professional. They don't give a lot of pushback. They fully trust the travel advisor. They send out trip updates to the travel advisor when they're traveling, and they are ready to rebook when they come back from their trip. There's no micromanaging that's happening here. So you can see it's not specific in terms of like, I'm not sure exactly where I'm going to go to find those type of people. But if I break down the values in those people, I can see immediately like where these types of people would be found. So buckle in because we got lots of examples like I mentioned. Because the overall kind of items that come with this type of psychographic here is that they're very keen on convenience. They're also very keen on personal service. Like those are things that they value very highly. They also value high value service. So knowing these three types of things, you've got to start thinking like, okay, I need to dive a little deeper. People that are like this, where are those types of people hanging out at? And so one of the other things that I like to think about, and I feel like this kind of ties in with just marketing in general when it comes to 2026, community and organizations are going to be huge. So if you don't want to attend like standard networking events, thinking about like what sorts of communities are already built into other businesses that you might be able to leverage for your travel agency. So one of the first things that comes to mind in that realm is like wine tasting, because it is a personal service. It is a high value. Like it's not free to taste wine, and depending on the different types of wine, there's different price points there also. So I think of like wine bars, wineries, wine shops, because many of these people or business owners also have like wine of the month club, or you can buy like a case of wine here and there. So that means that they're most likely going to have some sort of active and engaged email list so that they can put out these promotions when these types of memberships and things are available. This means that they're probably also doing a lot of those types of experiences there. So that could be places, those could be places where you can meet potential clients as well. Whereas maybe like you haven't warmed up yet, or you haven't made that connection with the business owner at this wine place, but you might be going with some frequency that you build up that relationship, or you build up and meet other people in other different industries who are also attending the wine classes with you. I also think of like book clubs on this, like romantasy books. I do not read them, but I know that they are huge. They are a huge thing. So I know that there's even like big podcasts about these types of books out there. So it doesn't even have to be romantasy, but thinking about, there are huge communities around different book genres. And so how can you get with a person of influence and maybe create a group trip there? How could you also maybe like start your own book club and then like propose different group trips from there? So again, we're thinking creatively, we're thinking out of the box, and I hope that if maybe one of these ideas doesn't land with you, that you get inspiration to use it in your own way, in your own unique angle. And if you do, please let me know, because I'd love to hear the unique angle. But I mean, there are fictitious places in some of these books and things, but there are places around the world that are based off of books like this, or that remind people of books like this. So being able to like create a group trip around this, either partnering with somebody who's in charge of a book club, or creating like your own book club or things like that. Like these are, we've got to think out of the box, out of the norm here for where we're finding people. Maybe you're a part of a book club already. Maybe you can pitch this to the leader of the book club, doing some sort of trip like this. There are a lot of entrepreneurial groups that are available, whether that's just straight networking. I know there's mastermind groups. So wherever there's other groups of business owners, you are going to be in good company. Most likely, I know some of them are a little sleazy and gross and all that, so you might be a little bit particular about certain entrepreneurial groups. But for the most part, most of us as entrepreneurs, we want to see other entrepreneurs win. It's very much like there was a local market got rained out on. There was an entrepreneur that was like doing half price on their gluten-free pies. And I was like, heck yeah, I'm going to try it. And I want to support, because I feel bad, because I know like if I was in that same situation, it's just a poopy situation to be in. So we all want to see each other win. So whatever entrepreneurial groups, because that also takes me to or entrepreneurial organizations like NABO, the National Association of Women Business Owners, SCORE, Toastmasters. All of these people, a lot of these people that are in here are in those organizations because they have businesses. They want to do networking in a unique way. They're always up for meeting new people. They're trying to get out of their comfort zones. So if that is similar to the type of travel that you're also planning, it may be very beneficial to get in on some of these organizations. I also have to bring up Rotary, which is the largest humanitarian organization around the world, and there are chapters internationally. So if maybe you've tried Rotary and it hasn't worked for you, maybe try a different chapter, because there's typically quite a few different chapters in your local area. And especially if you live in a bigger city, there's definitely going to be a couple different chapters. I would also, if you're like, you know what, I've been interested in Rotary, but I just don't have the time, there are these things called Impact Club, because like Rotary clubs can sometimes be a little formal. Impact Club is a little bit less formal. It's a little bit more informal, and they're focused solely on doing community service work. So you can also ask about being a member of an Impact Club from one of the Rotary chapters in your area. So there are options that can be flexible with your schedule as well, especially, you know, a formal Rotary, you have to meet quite frequently and all that. And there are dues. There's dues on the impact level, but just not as hefty sometimes. Also thinking about like organizations or communities that are kind of set up already. Fitness clubs. Now, this I will say is one of my weaknesses because I'm not part of any gym, fitness, or wellness club. But if you are, there might be opportunities in that realm, like maybe partnering with the fitness club owner or partnering with the wellness club owner. I think of this too as like fitness clubs typically have some sort of subscription. Subscription means that people are paying money for things. These are, for me, these are like good green flags. These are like good buying signals that like in these areas, you can also find buyers who would be willing to buy into travel opportunities with a community that they're already a part of, doing the things that they already love doing, which is probably working out in some sort of wellness. So if you might be able to work like with the fitness club owner or somebody who's in charge of like a fitness organization, I know that there's like different, it doesn't even have to be a fitness club per se, but I'm trying, like Zumba is something that I think about. I'm gonna forget this. It's like a circuit training almost. I forget the name of the word exactly, but if you know anybody in charge of these, maybe partnering up and being able to put together some sort of fitness travel group. But then also you might have potential clients at these places that you're already spending time at, and they already have some sort of interest. They already have buying power. So again, green flags as to where you can not only find potential clients, referral partners, joint venture partnerships, and then maybe even like these group trip potentials. Things that involve lifestyle design, like how somebody would design a lifestyle. Immediately, I thought about like interior designers, meeting or partnering with interior designers, because that also makes me think like of architecture. And then obviously that makes me think of travel because there's amazing buildings and there's amazing architecture just to see around the world. And I know people would want to pay for that and see that in real life and not have to like just wait for another day. So they could be potentially a really great referral partner for you. I think of stylists. So somebody that is able to afford paying a stylist is definitely able to afford paying for travel. So this could also be a really great referral partner resource. So where might you find stylists hanging out at? Not just at the mall, but like, are there different like I'm sure there's got to be like professional organizations, a stylist. Or then I also think like if we're going on the personal assistant / interior designer, I know that there's organizations like for organizing and like structure and things like that. So being able to like go to events and conferences that revolve around that, or go to like local chapter organizations or local chapter meetings of professional organizations that are like that, which kind of gets me into the whole next big realm of ideas, which is professional organizations. Now, if you've been around for a little bit, you know, Prep for Wave Week, we had Belvin Baldwin from, oh gosh, and now I'm going to forget his Showtime Travel. That is his business name. He's super active on LinkedIn, but he came on to Prep for Wave Week this year and was talking a lot about that is where he gets a lot of his luxury clients, is that he's a member of different professional organization. When I think of professional organization too, I'm trying to think of people who have continuing education credits, because that's something that they have to do on an annual basis, most likely have to like pay to keep the renewal of that also. So I think professions in like the legal space, there's definitely things that have to be kept up to date. Maybe if you want to go into B2B travel, like planning different conferences or events for people in the legal standpoint. I think of accounting. I know some accountants right now, they're trying to get in their CEUs, their continuing education credits. I think of medical and healthcare, and it doesn't just have to be standard, but also like where are medical and health professionals hanging out at? I know like myself, I deal with endometriosis. So there is actually an endometriosis summit that happens in Orlando, Florida, or Celebration, Florida, every single year in the springtime. This is something that I would love to attend just me as a patient, because they have patient classes, and then they also have practitioner classes. If you wanted to leverage this opportunity to be able to meet people like this might be an opportunity that you would be interested in. Feel free to use that. But this could be like really great. Like maybe you even partner with the person that's the head of Endometriosis Summit. Maybe you like plan a whole conference at sea or something like that. The possibilities are really endless when it comes to here. But I really just want to open the floodgates as to people that you should be looking for, and like when you start thinking about what they value and what's important to them, then you can start thinking, it kind of just comes naturally where they're going to be hanging out at. I think of insurance agents because I think that they definitely have continuing education credits. And I know that there are some travel agencies that's what they do, is that they plan continuing education cruises, and they just partner like with different organizations and things like that in their local area, so that these different types of professions, like real estate is another one that needs CEUs. And they partner with different organizations, bring people on board, get those completed, but also be able to have like a fun getaway. So it's kind of like you're allowing these people that need to complete these CEUs dedicated time to get these things done outside of their normal environment. So outside, like free from distractions, the day-to-day distractions. So especially like if they're parents and they have children, or if they're caregivers taking care of parents or anybody else, they're able to just momentarily take some time out, focus just on this one thing, get it done. Like I feel like can be, and I know it's been a very lucrative niche for some people. I feel like this is very meta, because this is exactly what we do within summer camp at sea. Whereas you're not like getting CEUs, it is dedicated time away from any distractions that you might have at home. So you can't say, oh, I couldn't get things done. We're going to make sure that you get things done. Financial advisors is another profession that I would see here that would be really great match. I remember very early on, in my journey as a travel agency owner, I almost partnered with a financial advisor. It was not the right fit, is the short part of that story. Architecture, engineering, those might need to have CEUs done. Teachers is another profession where CEUs are done, and they definitely have a tight-knit community. And I'm thinking like, are you managing like some sort of Facebook support group for teachers who specialize in like preschoolers or whatever it might be? Because there's so many different types of teachers and educators, because there's the admin level, then there's the higher ed level. Like there's different, it's not just like one realm. And that's why I'm like, you can pick a niche, but there are so many even like sub niches when we niche up. Like teachers in its own is a really great niche because it's very specific. But I'm sure that even like in that niche, there's like hyper specific. You just want to make sure that when you are kind of like putting your flag in the sand, people are able to identify, oh my gosh, this person gets me. Like they completely understand what I'm going through. They completely understand all my frustrations. They get it. I remember I just mentioned about tech, so that's something else. In the wellness space, therapists, because I think about and I think I shared this example recently. I think it was on the blog, one of the blog posts I recently did. There is a travel advisor who specializes in wellness travel. So they go to tech conferences to pitch to the tech, either founders or company leaders or things like that. Pretty much wellness travel, because being in tech is super high, or can be super high stress, especially like tech startups. There's just a lot of work to do, and you're constantly hustling and grinding to get product out, product developed, product made. And so I found that was like a very unique spin and very unique angle that a wellness travel advisor could take, That instead of like maybe going to the stereotypical like massage parlors or like sound baths and things like that, that you go to like tech conferences to pitch, taking a break from the day-to-day grind of your tech career and take a trip, and I will plan it for you and do all of that. Because you also have to think about people and what's going on in their lives and find that unique positioning. Because I think like that sometimes when I think about my travel agency friends, where you're getting stuck in your head is you're thinking that you're just helping somebody travel better. And yes, that is a symptom of what you do. But thinking a little bit more, like we're all layered human beings. So thinking creatively and out of the box and putting like this unique positioning is going to be so beneficial for your business. So yes, you might specialize in wellness travel, but thinking about who needs wellness travel. I think of like CEOs also, like high pressured CEOs. Healthcare workers, they definitely need a break because they surely have been overworked the past couple of years. So thinking about that and kind of positioning yourself in that aspect. Thinking about organizations that are already made, already created, already established, and putting yourself out there. I find alumni associations are going to be really helpful. I think actually thinking about Angela Hughes from Trips and Ships Luxury Travel, I think this is one of her big clients every year is an alumni association. So kind of getting the in there. And again, it's not necessarily thinking about group travel and group trips, though that's going to be a really beneficial way as to like getting your foot in on some of these like already made organizations. But it's also thinking about like what's like-minded about them, because even if if it's not on the group level, it's on the individual level that you're connecting with people. And while you're not pitching your services at these like connection points, what you guys do is just going to be a natural part of the conversation at some point. So they're going to learn that you're a travel agency owner. And that can open conversations for the future. Again, like these in-person relationships, this is a long game, but you've got to put yourself out there, and you've got to also test things to see what works and what doesn't work and what feels good to you. I think of curated experiences as another part. So what businesses around you are creating these curating experiences? Some examples locally that I think of are like my favorite art studio they're bringing people together for a really immersive out of the box experience. Why I think this is like a really great connect for travel agency owners is because that's exactly what you also do and put together. You curate immersive experiences for your travelers. And so kind of like either making friends or patronizing those businesses is going to be beneficial in the long run. I think that there's about a floral shop in downtown Orlando who has, I think it's called Floral Fridays, where between like certain hours you can get discounted flowers. They also do like flower workshops. That gets me thinking about like glass blowing workshops that are also happening here in Orlando. So those like really niche curated experiences, they can have it here in their backyard, but how cool would it be to also experience similar of these things in other parts of the world? And you're putting those together. So finding these people who can be ideal clients, referral partners, or even like group leaders. Like I hope you're as giddy as I am kind of sharing some of these ideas for you. Then thinking about retreats and in-person, that's going to be a big thing for 2026. So I think about like creatively, artists have retreats frequently for like writing retreats. So, and I think about obviously writers. So writers have writing retreats, artists have creation type of retreats. And being able, that is one of the superpowers of travel, is that it takes people out of their normal environment into a new environment. That in itself, in your brain, like there's different chemicals when you're experiencing something new. you get more happy chemicals. I'm not sure exactly which ones, but I know it's proven new experiences help your brain out, one. And then two, you're able to kind of like maybe put your guard down a little bit because you're in a new experience. You're able to, like, your body, your mind, your eyes, you're in a different environment. So you're able to do things differently and get out of like maybe what might be your normal day-to-day routine and just think creatively, think out of the box, have that open space, especially when I'm thinking about like cruise retreats. And if you're able to partner with like writers or writing organizations, being able to like have a sea day and like be on your balcony and have that time purely just to take in everything to put towards your writing project. Do you know how powerful that can be for transformations for people? So really thinking creatively. When I think about artists and writers, they're also probably leaning on some sort of online forum to either like vent about the frustrations about the creative process or things like that, or come together because they want to meet in real life. And like online forums to me means like some sort of maybe like a website chat room, community chat room, like a circle community. I know some people in the travel industry have those circle communities. I also think of like a Facebook group, maybe like a Twitch stream, Slack group. I know there's WhatsApp communities. I'm also thinking of those, like, obviously you can find events if you're Googling for something, but meetup.com, Eventbrite are other places that people set up these kind of like forums that you could in person go to and just either talk about something in common that everybody's dealing with, or maybe there's a theme. So yeah, those might be like really great opportunities for you. I've also written down here support groups, because I think about like, especially when we go to mental and physical health, like there's different support groups that can help people out. So like, I mean, I just mentioned endometriosis. There's tons of Facebook groups to help support on that journey. And like, I joined a couple of hysterectomy groups too when I was dealing with the hysterectomy. There's also advocacy organizations. So I think about, I mean, ASTA is an advocacy organization for our industry, but what about other industries? I think about this when it comes to like neurodivergent, ADHD, autism, anything like that. There are advocacy organizations. I think of like the celiac organization. So there's obviously some sort of membership component with these support groups, these advocacy groups. And if you may already be a part of some of these, so getting an in or being more active in these organizations, in these groups, so that you can be meeting new people. Again, whether that's independent travel or that's group travel, totally up to you what you want to do. But these are natural places that we are all going to gravitate towards when we need support of whatever kind that it may be. Maybe in 2026, you know you're going to be becoming a caregiver. I know that is a huge mental load on any person. It's also probably going to take a physical toll, having to take people to different doctor's appointments and maybe not working to the capacity that you're used to working. So you're going to need some support. So thinking about those types of things, like where are other people going to need support? And the focus is obviously not to sell your services, but again, it's going to come up eventually in conversation. These are just really great ways. And people who are needing support typically are also going to want to get away from the real world day-to-day of what they're having to deal with, or at least like learn, because it's not necessarily also like B2C travel is typically to get away and to recharge, relax, rejuvenate. B2B travel can be similar, but I also think there's some sort of mission that's happening in B2B travel. So I think more of like a conference or a retreat where there's going to be a set agenda of topics and things that will be discussed. So you can go either route with this too. Astronomy events and astronomy groups. And that makes me start thinking about like D&D, Dungeons and Dragons, and like Comic-Cons and like the nerdy groups. There are so many groups around this, and especially when we think of like how big the eclipse was last year. Was it last year or I forget? But there is another eclipse that's either coming in 2026 and 2027. And people are putting groups around these eclipses so that you can see it in real life wherever around the world that it is. Because I think it's going to be in Europe, the next major one. So to be able to experience it in real life and not just say that you watch it on a TV is pretty cool. But you can see like these groups also do other things. They're probably like, I'm thinking about, and I say nerd affectionately. So when I say like astronomy or astrology, which I'm a big nerd about, like just being able to talk with the same people about these things that you nerd out about, like I'm getting giddy just thinking about it. I don't know about you, but I know like people would want to be able to do that, especially something like if I knew that one of my favorite astrologers was like planning a trip, I'd be like, hold the phone, like give me all the details. I want to not only like learn from this person in person, be able to connect with them, also be able to like just nerd out with other people since we're all of the same like mind in this. Like I am probably showing too much of my nerd, but I am all for that. I also think of like in-person meetups and events when it comes to things like that. So you might have like, oh my gosh, Samantha Brown just brought her lives back. Maybe it's like you have your local Samantha Brown fan club where you talk about the lives, where they just talked about a recent episode of her show. Like, I mean, that's incredibly meta. But I really, that's the end of my list here. But I hope that this has just given you a lot of inspiration and a lot of excitement as we think of 2026. This is the year of the horse, and that horse is galloping and going. I know Chinese New Year hasn't officially been here, but this is going to be like, I hope, kind of like the horse, you take all these ideas and run in the wind. I'm imagining you on a horse with your wind blowing in the breeze as you're heading out, you're chasing your goals because you've been so inspired by all the different ideas that are here in this episode. And I really do hope that these help. Maybe you might not take any of these directly, but they help spur different ideas for you on where you can go. And if it does, please let me know, because the more creative, the more out of the box, the more different angle, like I'll clearly get excited about that, and I would love to hear more. So take all these, run with them with your wild imaginary, or maybe you even have a real horse. But I hope that this first weekend in the new year is so kind and so generous to you. I will see you here all again next week. Thanks for joining me on the podcast today. Remember to check out the show notes for all relevant links and resources from today's show. See you next time.